Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. Today is the 1st of May, 2017. So Leah and I had our own personal geeking out moment this afternoon when we discovered that your own and our own actually doesn't belong to the United States at all, but we still feel like he's ours.
The world's.
Julian Assange of, yes, WikiLeaks retweeted or tweeted out the video that we did on him yesterday.
Thank you to Caitlin Johnston. There was some like double tweetings going on. It was very cool to be a part of whatever this is.
Here it is. I want to tell you. Hang on, I want to take it back a little bit. I'm like, Leah. She's like, what? And I'm like, Leah. And so in this loud, high-pitched scream, Julian Assange tweeted out. She's like, what? And I'm like, I'm serious. He tweeted out our video. And she's like, Michelle, that is not his account. I'm telling you. She just said it so matter of fact, that's not his account. I said, Leah, it's his account. She spends 5 minutes, this girl does, looking at the account, trying to figure out if it's really his account. I said, he's got 157,000 followers. You think it's not his account? No, it's not his account. It can't be his account. I said, it's on RT. It's his account.
Yeah, so this is kind of exciting for us, but also, I don't know, surreal and, I don't know, just kind of
sobering, I think, more than anything.
Like stars aligning, because Caitlin wrote that article, and then we had the right and left, and it just so happened that...
this issue right here, now more than ever, is something that we can come together on across party lines. You do not go after Julian Assange. Okay, because without him, we are kept in the dark. But no, he continues. WikiLeaks continues to expose the truth for all of us to see.
Here's the thing, though.
They're the only ones really doing it.
I think we told you guys this in the video that we're looking at. The Clinton machine is an arm of the deep state. If you don't believe in the deep state, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
And you're in deep
okay, wait. If you don't believe in the deep state, then stick around and you want to learn.
Yes.
Then we'll teach you, do some Googling and stuff like that. But if you don't want to believe in it, I can't help you. But here's the thing. There are unelected people who control things. Wars like in Iraq and Syria, they don't happen because of our congressmen.
Right.
They happen because of people who are lifers in the government. They happen because there are people who want to make money. There are weapons manufacturers who want to make money. I mean, if you go to these, there are giant conventions for weapon manufacturers. I mean, you Google some of them and watch their videos. They're oozing with joy, like, hey, you want to, these weapons contractors, these military contractors they're handing out cards because they know that every contract is like almost like a $1 billion.
Wars mean money.
And, Dick Cheney, Halliburton, got all of these war contracts. And there are, I mean, you look at the Clinton being the Secretary of State and all the money changing hands, millions of dollars, and people dying right and left. And we just watched a little clip with Jesse Ventura, governor, saying, war is man at his lowest, and I wouldn't say mankind at their lowest, but it's
a very debased action.
Sad time. It should not be trumped up as something glorious. When somebody dies, those missiles that went off into Syria, they actually killed people. They weren't just, if they didn't, there's millions of dollars for $59 million missiles.
Right.
But they did. They killed like 6 to 9 people, and should they have died? And their lives matter, and there are people still dying. Innocent people in Iraq. Innocent people are always dying in Iraq. So that's why when we talk about Syria, we talk about Syria all the time.
And there are casualties of war that happen.
Right.
The question that Leah and I have, the concerns that we have, was that this really wasn't an act of war. It was an act of regime change.
Right.
And it was an act because somehow the United States is getting mixed up with what kind of gas line or which route it takes going through Syria.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen our videos, please search back, because we didn't just do the one video on Bana al-Abad. We have done several videos because we wanted to know. But I want to take you to, and stick with us if you're some of our newer viewers, because so we play Alex Jones a lot. Don't click off. Do not click off right now.
Because you want to hear this.
Okay, because,
whether you agree with Alex Jones or not, this is truth.
He's an ally. He stands up for Julian Assange, so here we go.
Alex Jones, Paul Watts is coming up the next segment. In studio, joining us from London, England. Old London town. Here's the bottom line. Most people seek affirmation from society, from culture, from the establishment. And they want to be conformist, and they want to be successful within the system. And that's great if you have a good system. But if you're an authoritarian EU, or authoritarian North Korea, or authoritarian Venezuela, where they're starving to death for 4 years running, eating their family pets, well, those were eaten a few years ago, conforming to a system that's broken the social contract is called cultural suicide. And I'm not going to commit suicide culturally, or physically, or spiritually. I was a history buff growing up. People ask why I'm so radical. I'm not radical. History is radical. Truth is radical. Truth is stranger than fiction. Always is. Always has been. And I had studied history, and I'd studied recent history, and I started reading then handbooks written by the globalists by the time I was 12 years old. And articles and publications of the John Birch Society, and none dare call it conspiracy, that I was reading what they said the elite were doing, and then I'd go read what the elite were saying at the library.
Take a gander to the John Birch Society. If you join, they will call you, though.
They will call you.
If you send up your email.
By the time I was 16, at law libraries to actually read Club of Rome stuff, and it was word for word what JBS was saying. JBS is the most truthful, I'm not even a member, organization I've ever heard of. And it was founded by U.S. intelligence operatives who knew we were putting communist Chinese in charge in 1949. That's when our own splinter groups in our government went, we're not putting up with this. And those splinter groups have been in the government ever since trying to fight this. That's why Julian Assange has come out and said the CIA director is waging war on truth tellers like WikiLeaks, the Washington Post. Trump is so wrong on this. When the whistleblowers and our own intelligence agencies got the intel out on Hillary's criminal activity,
that was my whistle.
You said if you've got the info, release it. Trump said that.
Trump said that. If you've got the info, release it.
Play that clip in the next segment. He said if the Russians had it, they should release it because it's Hillary committing the crimes. So how can Trump now do this? This, for me, is the biggest black eye to Trump.
Yep.
And I know he delegates. And I know if he...
Because this is one issue, I think that the Bernieites or the progressives, they got behind Trump secretly, I'm sure. I know you did. I've heard from you. You wanted Trump to win. You did, because you knew it couldn't be Clinton. And you heard him say, we're going to take down the globalists. We're going to drain the swamp on the right and the left.
Well, we all heard during the debate, you know, where he says, yeah, because you'd be in prison if I was president.
Exactly.
You know, goes after the Russians on the surface and goes after WikiLeaks on the surface. That gets him off his back in Congress. But it's all made up anyways, so he shouldn't do that for public consumption. It's wrong. We always hear Trump's so loyal. Well, if people did things that were legal and lawful, exposing criminal activity and the government, and it got you elected, how in the hell,
Sorry about the cuss words.
How on earth can you do that, President Trump?
Come on!
I'm glad you're controlling our border. I'm glad you're getting our taxes cut. I'm glad you're trying to repeal Obamacare. I'm glad you're trying to stop the Islamists pouring in. I love 85% of what you're doing.
Right.
But I don't want to give nukes to North Korea like the Clintons did. And I don't want to give them to Saudi Arabia like McMaster's is pushing for. That's up on Infowars.com.
Oh, yeah.
Dick. Candidate Trump. I love WikiLeaks. President Trump to arrest Assange.
It's absolutely certain that if Trump does this, it's wrong.
That's what we said
yesterday.
Bottom
the door
line.
For them to be able to say, well, you got this information, you claim's criminal, so you're a criminal, so the election's illegitimate. It's horse manure. We need more leaks exposing criminal activity, not less. I understand Trump doesn't like leaks inside his National Security Council on constitutional stuff, but that's not what this was. This was her private illegal servers and crimes she was committing. I'm going to have to come back the next segment and take some of Paul's time. I'm sure he'll be fine to get into this whole nuke drill, because that ties into all this. But I've got a major warning for Trump when we return on the other side of this break.
So we're not going to go into the next half of that, but the point is that Alex hit all of the points that we made yesterday, which actually we hadn't seen this. This is from the 26th. We hadn't seen this until today.
Right.
But this is absolutely unequivocally wrong, because Trump said, yes, they should be leaked. And so now that you're president and you've been elected because of these leaks, for you to turn around and then say, we're going to go after this guy, like Alex said, it kind of almost opens up the door for them to come after you.
Right.
To delegitimize your presidency.
We bring this all around, okay? We're very happy that Trump is the president and Hillary Clinton is not. Okay? It had to be Trump. I loved a lot of what Trump had said. A lot of people voted him in or wished him in based on the issues. But just to let everyone know, the issues that he kept bringing up were not his issues inside. They were your issues.
Right.
And we're Christians. We believe in the Lord. We believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe God was moving on Donald Trump to say the things that he said. We don't want war with Syria. We don't want to be in the Middle East. We want good relationships with Russia. We don't want China to be manipulating currency. We want to bring jobs back to America. We want to put Americans first. And what we mean by that is there are people suffering right here, right now, and all of our jobs going over to China is not helping one single person here. Okay, having the big giant Walmarts and having the giant corporations, that is not helpful.
Crony capitalism, you hear us bring it every day.
Exactly. And so when he was saying these things, a lot of us were cheering him on, and he kept saying, we're going to drain the swamp. We're going to bring the government back to you.
And unfortunately right now, you guys know it and we know it, and we still want to be behind Trump. Do not get me wrong. But he is surrounded right now by swamp people on all sides. His inner circle is all mud. It is all swamp. Okay? Steve Bannon is the only one practically in there that's left that's not swampy.
Right. You've got Jared Kushner's doing some crazy things in there. I don't know what he's doing with Israel. We stand behind Israel, but listen, they got deep state just like we got deep state. Okay? And so we're collaborating, and they've done war with us, and we've done war with them, and they kill bad people. They kill people, and we kill people. And we all have to take responsibility for that. And I think that right now, it's really cool to bring the left and the right together, the progressives and the conservatives who are like, stop the madness for one moment. Stop the craziness. Stop the bleeding. Stop the massacring.
Right.
Okay? We have basically been in a war. We have a war economy, whether you know this or not. Our economy is run since World War II on war manufacturing, war, printing more money. It's this never-ending cycle. And to encourage you, but also to warn you that if and when, hopefully, by the power of God, the deep state actually and the swamp drains, it will be like a giant tumor leaving the person's body, and we are going to need some serious life support. It's not I'm not talking about like Venezuela or things like that. But when you don't have the freedom to just print money like the Federal Reserve does to make things up, then you're gonna not have the things
when
that
you don't have the big bank bailouts, okay?
Right.
When you don't have the ability to invent money from thin air via loans. See, we're going to cover this a little bit later.
Actually, that's what we're going to do right now.
Okay, well let me just finish the thought.
Yeah.
In order for the big bankers to continually hemorrhage fake invisible money out of thin air into the economy,
counterfeit.
They have to have people seeking loans. And so they have to have you in debt.
Right.
So they have to have you have these things like, I have to have a new car, I have to have a bigger house, I have to put all these things on my credit card because...
They don't want you to own your home out. They don't want you to own, they want you to buy a new car.
Do you guys understand?
They need you on credit. That's why your whole idea of your credit score, it used to be that if you own something outright, you were a good person, you were a responsible person, you bought something with cash. My grandfather was that way, a lot of older people that way. I just always
But we all know the concept of credit, a credit score.
So now you're a good person if you're a credit score. You know how you
borrow things.
You know how you get a good credit score? You only get a good credit score if you take out a loan and then you have to actually keep that loan for a while and pay payments on that loan in order to get a good credit score and to be like a good person. So the more you owe, the better person you are.
So when you guys go to the bank, let's say, and you want to get, let's say, a $15,000 loan for a car, You walk into the bank and they say, yes, you can have this loan, and they put a little thing in their computer and they give you money. You go and give that money to the car dealership. You get a car. Where did that money come from? Did they pull it from their vaults? Did they even pull it from their digital vaults? Did they have, let's say, rough figure, $50 million, and then they subtract your $15,000 from that? No. They literally invent that money out of thin air.
Yeah.
And loan it to you. But they're only allowed to invent that money out of thin air if they loan it to you. They can't just invent it out of thin air and then take it and spend it and put it in their pockets. So they have to have your loan in order to print more money. And where do we eat it? We eat it in inflation.
Right.
Okay? And they don't, because they get the cream off the top. And that's why they continually want to flood
and
society.
That's how the rich get richer and the poor
get poorer. And inflation just grows up to the point where we are a house of cards about to collapse.
Right. All right.
All right. So thank you, Alex, for shedding light on Julian Assange. Thank you, Julian, for sharing our video. We were totally geeked out about that if you're watching this. Thank you, Caitlin, for your wonderful article, for bringing the right and the left together, and the progressives and all of us, so we can hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Assange, not just for him to get out, but
he needs to get some sun, man.
I need you to just feel the sun and
this
get outside
Ecuador.
And run in the grass.
Free.
And jump in the ocean, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. You deserve it.
You don't need to be holed up in an embassy. Yes.
We're praying you
out. A mind
out.
like yours should be free.
We're praying you out.
We are praying you out. Absolutely. This is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications. Share these on your social media pages. We love you. God loves you. And God bless.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you called my name.